Coming up on the Sports Desk, who says baseball's boring? Definitely nobody in the Pioneer League, that's for sure. Check out the mayhem towards the top of the standings for 3 Torrance teams as they all fight for a postseason ticket. Meanwhile, at Bishop Montgomery, the playoffs might be out of the picture, but building for success in 2014 isn't. The Knights looking for something to celebrate on senior night. And time to get to know the man behind all those championship banners the El Camino football program has been collecting the last 27 years. All that coming up and more right here on the Sports Desk. Hey there, Torrance. Welcome to another week on the Sports Desk. I'm your host, Wan Hernandez, ready for another tour through the South Bay sports scene. We start this week off with the busiest sport of them all right now. There's a lot going on in the baseball diamond today. The Bay League and the Pioneer League are gearing up for the postseason, but even with one last week left, the outlook on the CIF playoff picture is nowhere near settled. West High first up to bat, as we've talked about them a lot this year after that red-hot start to the season, followed by a serious cool-down through April. Well, even with the rough stretch, the Warriors enter this week with a good look at the playoffs ahead. They set themselves up for success by sweeping Palos Verdes last week in their 2 games against PV and their last against Redondo. All 3 Bay League wins, the Warriors have logged up 34 runs. 2 of those 3 games shutouts and just 4 runs scored against West total in that stretch. Their best week of ball, according to Coach Juan Cueva. So take a look at what that sets up as the Warriors will play 2 against Lusinger to close it all out, and it's going to get crazy. With the sweep of Lusinger and all the right pieces falling into place, they could find themselves tied for first place in the Bay League. That could happen if Redondo and Penn split, PV sweeps first place Miracosta, and of course, the Warriors win both against Lusinger. Even without that exact scenario, a sweep over Lusinger sets up West for a possible second place standing and a coin flip head-to-head matchup to see who heads to the playoffs. All that after the Warriors experienced a crucial funk to go from 9-1 to 10-9, losing 4 of their first 5 league games. Things looking solid with 1 week of ball left. And if you think the Bay League baseball standings look crazy, well, it's only because you haven't seen the Pioneer League this spring. 2 weeks ago, South, El Segundo, and North Torrance all held a tie for first place before the North Saxons knocked off the Spartans. Up next for the Saxons, tied for first place with El Segundo, a series against the Eagles to determine sole possession of first place, and our Brittany Johnson was there to bring you the highlights of Game 1.
The North Torrance Saxons came out strong today against the El Segundo Eagles, getting the batter out at first, but the Eagles wouldn't stay down that long, as El Segundo brought in a runner from second to take an early 1-0 lead against the North Torrance Saxons. Here in the second inning, North got on the board early on, bringing in a runner from first, but that would be the only time North saw home plate during the game. North trying their best to tough it out on the defensive end and not let El Segundo slip away, but then there's Lars Nootbaar up at bat for the Eagles, and he knocks this one out the park. You can add 2 points to the scoreboard right there, and the Eagles take a 7-point lead in the 5th inning for a 1-8 score. But Lars wasn't the only one hitting home runs. Austin Brasher stepped up to the plate, and the bases were clear. They were clear because he would need a lot of running room to bring in this home run for the Eagles in the 7th inning. At this point, there was no chance at all for North to come back and win the game, and El Segundo walks away with a 12-1 victory, and they beat out North on their field for the first place seed in the Pioneer League.
Basically, we didn't show up today. Gundo's a good team, and you spot them runs early, they're going to bury you, and that's exactly what they did.
And the next game of that series, the Eagles break the Saxons' heart one more time. 3-2 the score in this one. Saxons try to make a run at it in the later innings, but no such luck as their 2 in the last 4 innings doesn't make up for falling behind by 2 early on. That puts Gundo in sole possession of first place with this week's series against South High, but this is where things get a little hairy in the Pioneer League. South sweeps Centennial to take advantage of North's 2 losses, moving them into second place and within striking distance of the Eagles. Matt McGolan gets his 8th win on the season, holding Centennial to 2 runs in the first game of that series. A complete game effort from the Spartan ace, while Nick Cohen drove in the game-winning 2-run double to break a late-inning tie. So, like I said, South moves into second place tie with the sweep. Well, two's company, three's a crowd. The Tartars joined South and North High in that second slot. They smoked Lawndale in 2 games, 25-4 over the series, an absolute boat race from Torrance High to extend their winning streak to 5 and get their names in the middle of the Pioneer League mix too. Austin Aldrich steps in with a pinch hit 3-run home run in that second game. Nice to pad the stats, but even without that, the Tartars would have run away with this one as their final week of the season will consist of a 2-game series against North High. So here's what we're looking at entering the final week of the season for the Pioneer League. All 3 Torrance Pioneer League teams in a deadlock for second place. North swept South already, but lost both games to Gundo. They've got 2 against the Tartars to wrap up the regular season. The Tartars swept by Gundo last month as well. South High and Torrance High split their 2 games with the Spartans, taking on El Segundo this week for a chance to win it all. Have I confused you enough yet? Gundo wins either of their games against South. They are your 2013 Pioneer League champs. A South sweep with either North or Torrance High getting swept in their series. We could be looking at the Tartars, the Spartans, or the Saxons sharing a tri-league championship. A 3-way tie for second place means a coin flip to determine a 1-game playoff, with the winner of that playoff game moving into CIF tournament play. I promise you, all you students anxious to get through finals this month, I had to do more studying than you could imagine just to figure that out, with the last week of the regular season upon us. Gonna be an exciting one. All right, everybody, coming up after the break, so you got the crazy lowdown on the possible playoff madness in baseball. We'll check out what some teams in other sports are doing to gear up for the CIF postseason push.
One of my biggest passions in life is animals. That's why I've worked with Morris Animal Foundation for over 40 years. Morris Animal Foundation is a world leader in helping animals live longer, healthier lives. Like my favorite, dogs, of course. Well, maybe kitty cats are the best. I also like horses. Some of my best friends are apes. Elephants. Elephants are so wonderful. And who wouldn't want to cuddle up with a tiger? Oh, am I kidding? I love them all. The point is, Morris Animal Foundation is giving animals a healthier tomorrow. You can too. Just show your support at morrisanimalfoundation.org. It's all about a healthier tomorrow. And at my age, I'm all about that.
To help cats, dogs, horses, and wildlife live healthier lives, visit morrisanimalfoundation.org, where we are advancing science that will create a healthier tomorrow for animals.
Hey there, Torrance. Welcome back to the Sports Desk. All right, so you're all caught up on Pioneer League and Bay League baseball as all teams head into their last week of the season. But what about the teams around town playing for next year? At Bishop Montgomery High, that's the case with the Knights baseball squad, who endured a winless April. The winless month gave Coach Kyle Schneider a heavy but clear task: keep his team together and dedicated to improving as they cross the finish line and build confidence for 2014.
Thanks, Juan. Today is senior day here at Bishop Montgomery, and the seniors had a great way to celebrate. They beat Chadwick 7-2. Coach says that he's happy about his seniors and the roles that they've been able to play this season, but he's also looking forward to what the new group is going to be able to bring to the table.
I think it's a pretty big effect on us. You know, we have about 4 or 5 starting positions that are going to be gone next year, so I think that's going to hurt, but I think we have a strong underclassman that could step in and take their place. You know, expectations are high. They still have to fulfill those expectations.
Expectations to fill the cleats of those like senior Brian Marafino, who takes advantage of a bases-loaded situation. Bottom of the second, Marafino singles with a hopper to third and brings home Kenny Villafana to put Bishop on the board 1-0. Still in the second, Chadwick pitcher Dalton Sanders struggling. Kevin Flores capitalizes and gets an RBI double, extending Bishop's lead to 5-0. And the bench couldn't be happier to be up early in the game. Saunders struggled on the mound, but not at the plate. Here we are, top of the fourth. Sanders lifts one off Alex Arroyo for a solo home run to make it 5-2 Bishop. And the Knights get the much-needed win.
It's good to win any game, you know. We had like a 13-game losing streak or something like that, so getting a win here, especially on senior day, is a good way to roll into the end of the season with our 3 games left.
After the game, the Knights celebrated Senior Day by thanking their parents and having a good old-fashioned cookout. Senior Kyle Cutler was among one of the 8 seniors being honored.
Playing on the team, you get to meet a lot of nice guys. You get to play guys all over the South Bay, Southern California, and I get to play with guys on and off the field. Other sports. I play football also, and being a senior today is fun. I've been here for 3 years, transferred my sophomore year, and I've loved it.
So the Knights put together a winning performance on senior night. Like you heard, always good to get a win no matter when or where. Alex Arroyo gets the win and a quality start to add to his stat line. Taking a quick look up and down the Knights roster, they'll be returning 13 players to the varsity squad next season, so high hopes for 2014 in the Bishop Montgomery baseball program. And speaking of celebrations, the Torrance Tartars softball squad has something to celebrate before their regular season wraps up. Junior shortstop Cameron Watts will continue her post-Torrance softball career at the next level in one of the most competitive conferences in all of college ball. Number 15 will still be rocking a maroon uni when she suits up for the University of South Carolina. According to Watts, USC has told her she'll take over as the starting shortstop with the 3-time SEC champs. The South Carolina Gamecocks were a Division I independent before joining the Southeastern Conference back in '97. In fact, the Lady Gamecocks were the first SEC softball champs. The conference has only sponsored the sport officially for 16 years now, going back to 1997 when South Carolina also played in the College World Series. Altogether, the Gamecocks program has made 16 national tournament appearances, their last in 2007. This year's squad looks like they will be anxious for the Speedy Watts to get on the field. They're currently at the bottom of the Eastern Division standings with an overall winning record, but 8-16 against the SEC entering May. And while I did some digging to learn more about the university of the Tartar shortstop will be attending, my 2 favorite random facts, I'm going to date myself here being excited about this one. The fellas from Hootie and the Blowfish all attended school there. And Clint Mathis, you'll remember him here on the show. He was a Gamecock as well, the former Team USA soccer star and the man over at our LA Galaxy Soccer Center running youth camps for all of Torrance's future soccer superstars. But more pressing for Watts and the Tartars as they finish out this season. Torrance retaining their 2-game lead in the Pioneer League standings and getting a gem of a performance from their ace, Christina Washington, in a weekend non-league double dip against Edison. Game 1 featured 4 strikeouts and no walks and a no-hitter performance from Washington. The only thing between her and a perfect game was an error by her defense. The Tartars take the first game 9-0 before splitting the day with a 6-3 loss in Game 2. Washington sprinkles in 3 innings of 1-hit scoreless relief to bring her tally up to 10 scoreless innings with just 1 hit on the entire day. This week, the girls close out their regular season at Lawndale and at North High. And tying our next story back to the Cameron Watts news, ever wonder what it's like for a high school player to move on to the next level, play for a new coach, and learn the game at a new standard of competition? Here in the South Bay, we've seen one of the best take in athlete after athlete for the El Camino Warriors. With the powerful college football program, we can expect a powerful mind at the head of it all. John Featherstone, a football coach who's obsessed with surfing, a teacher, a mentor, and in the eyes of many, a father.
When one thinks of El Camino College athletics, the first thing that often comes to mind is the Warriors' incredible football program and the man behind the rich tradition, Coach John Featherstone. Coach Feather, as he's fondly known, has spent the last 27 years at the helm of the Warriors program and led the team to a national championship and many conference and state titles, while sending hundreds of players to top Division I programs and even beyond to the NFL. So how did Featherstone get started? Like most, he himself once started on the field.
For me, in terms of football, the reason why I got into football was when I started playing Pop Warner, that's when it all changed. I just loved football.
That love for football took Featherstone all the way to El Camino, where he played for 2 years, then to San Diego State, where he played under and developed a very close bond with Hall of Fame coach Don Coryell.
I was the first cubicle in Jack Murphy Stadium as it went all the way around with 99 lockers. And Coach Coryell didn't like to dress with his coat and tie with the other coaches, so he came and dressed in my cubicle. And he'd hang his tie and his coat in my cubicle. So we just started chatting it up every game. He'd ask me before the game, Feather, you think you're ready? You think we're ready? I said, yeah, Coach. And he'd ask me my opinion at halftime on some things. And I'd say, Coach, yeah, why don't you try this? We're good in practice this week. He goes, that's a good idea, Feather.
After Featherstone proved his impressive knowledge of the game, he had a job offer waiting for him upon graduation.
I was very, very fortunate to be able to have that relationship with Coach Coryell. And then at the end of the season, when he asked me, would you want to be a coach? I said, are you kidding me, Coach? Where do I sign in?
After Coryell left for the NFL, Featherstone's young career took him all over Southern California until he finally landed at Elko, which turned out to be the perfect spot.
I'd already been at the JC level. I love playing there. I love coaching there. And Dave is a great recruiter. He talked me into coming back to Santa Ana. And I've been born and raised on the beach. I'm kind of a beach guy. I can feel the ocean breezes every day I'm on the practice field here. And I just live 15 minutes away in Redondo now. And life couldn't be any better.
All right, everybody, coming up after the break, we're going to get back to Coach Feathers' story and everything he's done for the young men that wear Warriors colors. More in-depth look at the man who's devoted almost 30 years to South Bay football at El Camino College.
We're here today to ask people about marriage.
For starters, what's the best thing about being married?
Who I get to stay married to. Family.
Togetherness.
To me, is having a companion.
This person.
My favorite thing about being married is that I have a partner.
Do you think your marriage is good for more than just the two of you?
Does it influence those around us?
Yeah, I think.
In a positive way?
I think so.
I would hope that people would see that when we're together that we really have a very true affection for each other.
What everybody wants, and we know we're lucky to have it.
The energy we give out in our home, I think, spreads out to other people.
Your marriage just continues to go on and on and on.
Oh, sure, and it'll affect generations after us.
I think it really sort of stabilizes your whole community. It's a cornerstone of a society, right?
Sounds like a good marriage goes a long way.
It touches a lot of people.
Want to improve your marriage? For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
Hello and welcome back once more as we're wrapping up another week on the Sports Desk. Right before we went to our last break, you got to learn about how El Camino football coach John Featherstone got his start calling plays. Now, we look further into the impact he's made on the lives of those who have played for him.
At El Camino, Featherstone has clearly built a football legacy, although perhaps more importantly, he's had a big impact on the lives of many young men.
A lot of kids don't have good family situations. It's tough to see what some of these kids go through. The biggest thing is the reading and writing levels. A lot of kids haven't had the opportunity to be able to buy the books for class. A lot of the kids don't have a learning environment at home. It's not easy being a student athlete. But after a while, they embrace that because we show them a lot of love.
And all of the love Featherstone shows his players isn't lost on them. As a father figure to many, Feathers players know they can come to him with anything and that his valuable life lessons will stay with them long after they're done playing football.
He taught me how to prepare myself for anything that comes. Studying and all that, it really helps.
He's really taught me how to be a man. I've grown up in a single parent with my mother. He's taught me some things that, just I needed to know growing up.
Integrity, how to be a person before you really put your all into just football. He show you how to do off the field, making sure your school is right, and mainly. And all that just transformed to how you conduct yourself when you're on the field,
How to be a professional about what I do. Being on time, being detailed, being dedicated to what I do, not missing a day in the weight room, not missing a day of running, taking the preparation of practice serious like it's a game. That's what I'm going to carry with me the rest of my life because that's going to be the most important thing, whether I still play football or I go into the professional world, is preparation, attention to detail, and work ethic.
He's always been there every day. If I needed someone to talk to or some type of advice, whether it's with football, with class, or just in life, he's always offering help, whether it's, a bite to eat or, a place to hang out in the conference room to stay away from trouble, because there's so many distractions, in college. And he's just always having our back and always assuring us that he's there for us whenever we need him.
We're in the helping profession, Gene and I, and so are JC coaches. All coaches are, really, regardless of the level. Even if you're coaching Pop Warner, you want to get into life lessons with those, with even the little ones.
Featherstone has obviously helped his players in many ways. While he's helped many to professional football careers, seeing how he's helped others with life always makes him beam with pride.
That's the neat thing, to see him come back in suits and ties. They've got a couple kids. They're great fathers, great husbands. Gene and I just look at each other and go, God, thank God, boy, what a wonderful change a lot of these kids have made.
Between everything he has accomplished on the field for El Camino and all the time he puts into maturing and teaching his players off the field, Featherstone's job keeps him constantly busy. However, he loves what he does and claims he's never worked a day in his life.
I go to bed every night with a smile on my face, and I wake up every morning with a smile on my face, because if I felt I've had a day, if I've had a good day, a job well done, and then I wake up the next morning getting a chance to do it again. That's what life's all about. I've loved every moment of being a coach.
In his 27 years and counting here at El Camino College, Coach Featherstone has seen it all. Through thick and thin, though, nothing has ever stopped him from loving his job. We can definitely expect Feather's legacy to live on and grow for many years to come. From El Camino College, I'm Jenny Phillips for the Sports Desk.
Thank you for that, Jenny. El Camino football has seen its share of success under Coach Feather, but that's not without his own success on the sidelines and back to his days in pads. After his 2 years in a Warrior uni, Feather earned a scholarship at San Diego State, where he helped the Aztecs to a Pasadena Bowl win in 1969. Feather was the MVP of that game, wrapping up a season for the number 12 ranked team in the nation. And Coach John Featherstone's not the only lead man in the South Bay doing amazing things. Nominate another coach for us to have here on the show. We've got some in mind with great stories to tell, but let us know who you want to see on the Sports Desk, and we'll reach on out and make it happen. Email us here, thesportsdesk@torranceca.gov. And college football doesn't have a playoff, but CIF does. We gave you the update on some possible scenarios on the baseball field. Meanwhile, in volleyball, the boys get it all started this week on the hardwood. At South High, the boys volleyball squad spent a lot of time this year looking at how they were going to defend their CIF crown, and if they're going to make a run at the CIF playoff start this week, it won't be as the 2013 Pioneer League champs. That title going to the El Segundo Eagles after South fell in 4 sets, so Gundo gets awarded the home match to open up the playoffs, but no harm to the Spartans after all, as they get to open their playoff run as well in their own gym. They draw St. Joseph, the Pac-7's second place finisher. Also in the Pioneer League, North and Torrance played twice last week, Torrance beating the Saxons early to force a third place game that North High eventually won, drawing the third place finish and a matchup on the road against Burroughs. Meanwhile, Bishop Montgomery finished out their season second place in the Del Rey League behind Cathedral, good enough to get an opening round home game as well, coming up against Chadwick early this week. All right, everybody, that wraps up another week right here on the Sports Desk. We will see you next time with some of those updates from CIF playoffs and who's going to make it on the baseball diamond.